Good evening. I'm Mayor Libby Schaaf. I'm joined by Police Chief LeRonne Armstrong, the Chair of our Police Commission, Tafara Malele, and also the Inspector General of the Police Commission, Michelle Phillips. We are mostly here to answer any questions and be available for commentary following what was a milestone court hearing. Now, while we await the judge's final order, we do recognize that today marks a milestone in a continual journey towards Oakland's reforms and professionalism as a national model in policing. That's our united commitment as the leaders of this city, that this is not something that will ever be over. It's a continual quest for us as Oakland's leaders to ensure that our police department is the national model, is the vanguard for progressive professional policing. The changes that have been acknowledged and recognized that the Oakland Police Department has accomplished are significant, and we have much more work to do, as does the nation, in reforming policing, in being more responsive to our community, in having a higher standard of professionalism. It's my understanding that when the NSA was entered into 20 years ago, the city leaders at that time chose to negotiate a settlement agreement requiring compliance with 51 reforms to the police department. And that was instead of going under a consent decree. And at that time, I believe Oakland was holding itself to a higher standard. And we intend to always hold ourselves to a higher standard. I'm happy to turn it over to the Chief of Police, and of course we are all here to answer any questions that you have. But before I do, I just want to extend my gratitude. One of the very important things that was said today is that part of that order will include consultation with our police commission. And we want to express our gratitude that the professionalism of this commission, especially with the addition of our new Inspector General, is a critical piece of sustainability and continued advancement in our belief that Oakland shall be the national model in policing. So I thank you for being here with us tonight, and we are excited about your increasing role in this journey that we're on. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I first want to really recognize the members of the Oakland Police Department. I think this has been a commitment that all of the members of the police department has agreed to. The idea that we want to be progressive, the idea that we recognize the community's call for change and our officers stepping up. For those that have stayed and taken on this tremendous challenge of doing things differently, I really want to recognize them for their hard work. Our last CMC in January, the department left with several things that needed to get done. 4 specific tasks that needed compliance, as well as 5 additional policies that needed to be completed. Thanks to the hard work of the Police Commission, led by their chair, Chair Malele, we were able to get that done. And that was not only Police Commission, but that was the involvement of the community. So it really is a joint effort that brings us to this moment. I agree with the mayor that this is a milestone. The idea that this police department has put itself in a place where we can have conversation about sustainability and potentially demonstrating to the public that we serve that this is the most progressive police department in the country. We await the judge's orders, but I'm optimistic that we are proving to the public that we have reformed. There's more work to do. This is never over. That police departments across the country have to always hold themselves to a really high standard. They have to always look at the way in which they do business and assess, is it fair, is it equitable, and is it just for the people of their community? And so while we find ourselves here in this moment, recognizing that the department has demonstrated that we are prepared to talk about what the future looks like and how we can continue to move forward, I do want to recognize that tremendous work that it took for us to get here to this moment, and we look forward to the judge's final order.
And we're all available for any questions.
Chief, I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to kind of what you and the mayor have been saying in terms of the work that still needs to be done. And can you give us a little more detail and specificity in terms of what that looks like and where perhaps you're still not quite across the finish line?
Well, I think right now, I think we're going to wait for the judge's order to give us clarity about what the judge would like to see from this department moving forward. But I think we can acknowledge by the CMC filings, by the plaintiff's attorneys, as well as some of the things the judge spoke of, they all recognize that the department has made tremendous strides. And so we look forward to what the judge's final ruling will be. And when we receive that, we'll be able to discuss that further about how we continue to prove and demonstrate to the court that we are willing to do whatever it takes to get into compliance, but also to make sure we demonstrate the cultural change that everybody has been waiting for in the Oakland Police Department is here.
Was there one point that was still unchecked, on racial disparity?
Yeah, we in our last report from the Federal Monitor, there was more work that needed to be done around discipline disparities within the department. And that's some of the work that we've already taken on with the partnership of Stanford. What we committed to in response to the IMT's recommendations was that we would continue to partner with Stanford to further look into our racial disparity data within the department and begin to talk more to our staff. Hear more from our minority officers about how they're feeling about our discipline process. Disparity work is never done. So whether we're in compliance or not, as a chief, as a leader of an organization, you want to make sure that everybody feels like they're being treated fairly. And now we have the ability to do that because we're collecting that data and we've committed to analyzing that data on a yearly basis. And then when our Office of Inspector General, we expect that there'll be audits that'll be done independent of the department that will also help us better understand where we can improve it.
Hello, my name is Dr. Taifara Malele. Today is an important milestone for policing in Oakland. What the court is about to order, a new one-year sustainability period, is a clear, important signal that the only path forward is to continue to accelerate police reform until no court oversight is necessary. As the chair of the commission, I am cautiously optimistic about the prospects of NSA resolution next year. Whenever that time comes, the Police Commission and our appointee, Inspector General Michelle Phillips, will collectively stand ready to pick up the mantle of full-scale transformational police reform in place of the court's monitoring team. The Commission's promise to the court and to the people of Oakland is that we will continue to lead transformation of this police department consistent with our role under the city's charter. We have much more work to do in the months ahead, but I also believe that some thanks and congratulations are in order. I first want to thank my colleagues on the commission for their hard work, their insights, their long volunteer hours, and the bold decision that we made to get us to this point. That includes current and former police commissioners Regina Jackson, Marcia Peterson, Jesse Shea, David Jordan, Brenda Harbin-Forte, Rudy Howell, Jose Dorado, Henry Gage, Edwin Prather, Thomas Smith, Tara Anderson, Janelle Harris, Sergio Garcia, and others whose tireless dedication helped to get us to this point. I'm also deeply thankful to the people of Oakland for their support in our work, for showing up to our meetings, and for providing us with their input and personal stories. Finally, congratulations are in order to the chief and his leadership team. Chief Armstrong was appointed through the Police Commission's hiring process and selected by the mayor to lead the department as a talented person with deep experience with policing in Oakland and a dedication to reform. It's clear from the court's remarks that his leadership of the department represents a new, bold approach to police reform that has been long overdue. We wholeheartedly agree. Thank you, everyone.
Any other questions?
The police department has, as you guys mentioned, been dealing with this for the past couple decades. Can you talk a little bit about the effect that it's had on morale and reputation of the police department?
Changing culture is difficult. We recognize the low level of trust that we've had in the community for many years. And I think it's clear with the appointment of the police commission that community members wanted to see something different. And really, we have challenged all of our officers to police in a different way. And they have accepted it. There are officers every day that are going out there doing the job as we expect them to do, upholding constitutional policing, treating people fairly, making just decisions. That's what we expect from our officers. And I think we are comfortable with those that may not feel like they want to meet that challenge or that standard. We hold our officers to a high standard because our community deserves it. I often say that when you have low levels of trust, you have to overinvest in order to get trust. We are over-investing in our community so that they know we are committed to being a different department. This is not the department of 20 years ago. We are a different department today. And I'm proud to be the leader of that department, but I'm also proud that the men and women of the department are willing to do things differently. So,
by entering into a negotiated settlement agreement, we chose to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And I am deeply grateful to the men and women of the Oakland Police Department who have raised their hand to hold themselves to that higher standard. We know that the Oakland Police Department is widely recognized as one of the best departments in America. Statistics show that we have one of the lowest officer shooting rates, one of the best improvements in reducing racial disparities in arrests, and recently it was documented that we also have one of the most impressive records of holding officers seriously accountable when they do violate department policies. The officers that have chosen to come and work in Oakland, a city that, let's be honest, is difficult, is challenged in public safety, and that deserves the protection and response that these incredible officers provide every day. These officers are to be commended, and the very attorneys who brought this lawsuit 20 years ago commended the entire department. The people from every level of this organization, officers and staff, for their role in cultural change and buy-in, the effort that it has taken to not just do the type of data analysis that we now are recognized as being one of the best departments as far as the rigor with which we analyze officer data every day, but the seriousness with which we analyze that data, we dig deep, we ask questions. And when we talk about what are things that will continue to be built on through this process, our ability to analyze data is something that every stakeholder recognized today in our court hearing. That this internal capacity that is also buoyed by the Police Commission and its new fantastic Inspector General, that this is a new internal capacity that is also complemented by incredible experts like Dr. Jennifer Eberhardt of Stanford. But it's the constant curiosity, the quest for more and more understanding of how we can do better, that will continue to grow long after court oversight is gone. That is a commitment that I believe all the leadership of the City of Oakland has, and it is certainly what our residents demand.
This isn't the first time that sort of the parties have agreed that Oakland and OPD is on the cusp of ending the NSA. I remember in spring of 2016, there was talk about that. The parties agreed. A case came out in the public, derailed that. When you hired Ann Kirkpatrick, she came in with a promise to end the NSA. In her litigation against the city, she was fairly hostile to that process. Why should the people of Oakland believe now that this is different?
I can speak to my 8 years as the mayor, which have been certainly full of ups and downs with regard to compliance with the NSA. But I do not know of any other time when the judge has made the statements that the judge made today, as well as the court-appointed monitor. The court-appointed monitor wrote in his last report that this is, in fact, the closest that the City of Oakland has been to full compliance.
What kind of misconceptions do you guys think people like on the street still have about the city or the police department, things that may have been happening 20 years ago that people don't understand is not happening now?
Look, we always have to honor the absolute pain and experiences of people in Oakland and people throughout this country. That pain is something that we have to acknowledge and work every day to earn the trust back that things are different, that these officers come with hearts for service, that in the city of Oakland, we are here as guardians of our beloved community. I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that.
Well, I'm just wondering if we might hear from you, if you, I noticed you nodding your head, and I think we'd like to hear a little bit from you and what your hopes and goals are with this process and what you think you are going to be bringing to this. This
Absolutely. So one, I want to thank Mayor Schaaf and Chief Armstrong for everything that they've done, as well as the commission, Chair Malele, and her support as I've come in to the city of Oakland approximately 4 months ago. My commitment is definitely to the community. I think that community engagement is very important. Transparency and accountability is very important. So I've been having those conversations with Chief Armstrong as well as his staff regarding what we can do to mainly educate the public about what we've been doing internally to ensure that there is accountability, transparency, and integrity in that process is very important. So that's one thing that I'm very much committed to, having those conversations on the ground, meeting individuals where they are. Every citizen is not coming to the police commission meetings, which means that we need to have conversations as to how we can get out in the community and communicate with them to hear about what concerns that they may have that we may not know about. That is fair, and I think that that is a commitment that we as leaders in the city of Oakland need to ensure that we gain the trust back into the community, and that means that we have to start listening to the community and give them the information that they have desperately been asking for within the confines of the law. That is my commitment to the city of Oakland.
And what does that look like tangibly? So you say meeting people, you know, where they are, talking to them on the ground, but I assume you're not going to door knock every front door in Oakland, so.
No, so I have been talking to the police commission. They do have a community engagement ad hoc that they have compiled with, I believe, 3 commissioners to try to start putting town hall meetings together, East Oakland, West Oakland, trying to do town halls in conjunction with the chief so that if there are questions that we have regarding police oversight, we can answer, and potentially any questions regarding crime, the chief is there and available to answer. So those are conversations that we're having behind closed doors and seeing what that's going to look like moving forward. But of course, everything is a process, and we still are in the pandemic, so we want to ensure that we are also very safe with that, as well as trying to have conversations with the mayoral administration regarding what type of data we can release, descriptive information that is easily tangible and readable, digestible to the public so that they understand in lay terms exactly what is going on. We need to ensure that everybody gets the information in a tangible manner. So that's what we've been trying to do, and I'm working towards making sure that happens.
And how soon would that be, do you think?
I do not have a timeline on that. I am 4 months into the job and working on building my office and the foundation. So the mayor's administration has been very, very supportive in making sure we do that. But I can assure you that those conversations are being had. Thank you.
I have one more to add to your question. What we want the community to consider is to be part of this change. Oaklanders want to see more Oaklanders working as police officers. And so we encourage you to go to oaklandca.gov and consider training as a police officer. There's a great program at Merritt College to prepare people to enter into this incredible, noble profession of public service. So that is one way to create change, is be the change.
And how short are you in terms of the number of staffing? Your
Right now,
staffing
we're
level
at
right now?
650. 650, and we will graduate 26 Friday.
Yes. We are excited that this Friday we will be welcoming 26 new officers to the Oakland Police Department. Currently, our staffing is at 650 officers. That is significantly below where we would like to be, which would be 737 officers.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.